Hello everyone and welcome back to a top level game of professional StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Terran versus Zerg where we find ourselves on Gresvan. Spawning right here in the top left hand corner, playing with the blue Terran SCVs, we have the brand new StarCraft 2 World Champion as we're looking at Oliveira's main command center. Honestly, it's been an amazing couple of days in the StarCraft 2 community. I don't know how many of you have been following Time's story very closely, but apparently the Chinese scene has absolutely received their champion well. Time has also been talking about raising a lot of money for charity. He's been streaming, and honestly, it's just been a beautiful story to see the StarCraft 2 scene once again bloom over in China. Anyhow, in my mind, his opponent, I don't know, I haven't seen this particular game, but in my mind, his opponent is still the favorite going into this particular match. And maybe that's just me, okay? Maybe that's just me who needs to give a little bit more credit to Time. But mentally speaking, I'll talk about that a little bit more, but mentally speaking, I still feel like our Zerg player here is definitely the favorite. From South Korea, we're looking at Dark's main hatchery. Okay, so over the last couple of days, I've been thinking a lot about the StarCraft 2 World Championships, okay? And I made a little bit of a list of players who I think going into the tournament would have been most likely to win the entire thing. So in my mind, there are 5 players that could have won the StarCraft, or that could have won rather the StarCraft 2 World Championships with no one really being all too surprised, okay? And that list of players goes Serral, Maru, Hero, Raynor, Dark. Many of these have already won the StarCraft 2 World Championships at least once. They're still ridiculously good at the game, and I don't think anyone really would have been all too surprised if any of those 5 would have won the entire thing. Then right below that, in like the quote-unquote second tier of top-level contenders, players that could have won the whole thing, I'm thinking of names like, for example, Björn. Names like, for example, Solar, like, for example, Clem. Maybe even Bunny should be in that list as well, right? Players that are really good, that have been really consistent for a long time, and yeah, that definitely are like World Championship material. Then right below that, we have names like, for example, Ragnarok, Hero Marine, maybe Cure, right? And then right below that, and I don't mean any disrespect whatsoever, at least in my mind, that's when we get to names like, for example, Oliveira, maybe Neep, DRG, maybe a Showtime, players like that, right? And the fact that Oliveira ended up winning the entire thing in such a dominating fashion as well is just amazing, right? It just shows you what really is possible with hard work. Oliveira has been giving a lot of interviews as well. He's been talking a lot about how he's been approaching it and what his goals have been and how hard he's been working. And it really showed, right? It really showed that he was definitely putting in the time, taking, well, matches and entire series, of course, off of the very best players in the world. And in the end, he ended up winning the World Championships 4-1 over Maru in the Grand Finals. Obviously, everything has to align, right? Everything has to go incredibly well for Oliveira to win the entire thing, but yeah, for him to have such an amazing final day of the tournament and to just be on such an amazing momentum, it's been fantastic. He's been raising money for charity. He's been mentioning about how he's been talking about how he's basically just a regular guy who worked really hard and that you can, you know, achieve your dreams as well if you work hard enough. And it's just been a heartwarming story. It's been really, really cool. Many of the StarCraft 2 pros, they're not necessarily very outspoken, right? And honestly, I'd spoken to Oliveira a couple of times in real life, but nothing, you know, nothing more than like a quick hello and maybe a, you know, how are you doing? But never really had a good conversation with him. I've seen a few interviews with him before he became the world champion, but it's just been heartwarming. He's been very open, and yeah, he's been a really good role model, I think, for a lot of people. Anyways, let's talk about the game a little bit, because I've been blabbering onwards, well, for about 4 minutes now, not talking about the strategies here at all. Okay, so I haven't seen this game. This game was actually streamed, I believe, on the B stream of IEM Katowice, the B stream or the C stream. I guess that just shows you how many amazing games were being played simultaneously, that apparently Oliveira versus Dark wasn't cool enough for the mainstream at the time. I think actually if we were to, you know, do it all over again, we would probably feature this particular match on the mainstream. But anyways, that does mean that I don't know who ends up winning it, so we're gonna find out together. Evo Chamber opener right here from Dark. Only a single Evo Chamber. That is a little interesting. Normally we have either a lair, then straight into a Baling Nest with the Centrifugal Hooks upgrade, or we go double Evo Chamber. In this particular case, it's a single Evolution Chamber, with Dark still mining a little bit of gas, but not really having that much gas in the bank. Maybe it's because of the strategy, though, that we see right here coming out of our Terran player, which is a 2-1-1 with a quick third command center. So the 2-1-1 is a fantastic build. It allows you to produce about 16 Marines here, 2 Medevacs. It's probably going to kill this Overlord. And then we're going to load the units and go straight across the map. No, not you, Reaper Man. Oh, the Reaper Man got to... Sorry, Jimmy. Your seat is taken right there by one Reaper instead of a Medevac. Alright. Anyway. This is one of those classic builds, though, that we've seen many times before. I was going to bring up that normally Zerg players make 30 Zerglings against this, and that's exactly what Dark has done so far as well. Honestly, most of these openers from Terran, they're really just a skill check, right? You really just want to make sure that the Zerg player is on point. This is not a build that is by any means designed to kill Dark. If Dark would lose against a push like this, that would be kind of surprising. But at the very least, it's forcing the Zerg to make a whole lot of units, to slow down their tech, and, well, apparently we're just going to go for a singular carapace upgrade here, which is kind of interesting. Lair, though, not needed as quickly against a build order like this, so Baneling Nest also not as soon right here. You need to have the Baneling speed upgrade done by the time that the really big bio pushes come across the map, and honestly, Oliveira does have these upgrades lined up very nicely. There definitely is a chance that he's going to push before the Centrifugal Hooks upgrade is done. Don't lose a Medevac, please. Okay. In the meantime, though, Fort Hatchery taken right here on the right side of the map. Dark's still making a ton of Zerglings, so he's definitely respecting this very well. Making sure that he's got a roaming army here before he really commits. Okay, yeah, before he really commits to droning up that 4th base. So even though he doesn't really know exactly what he's playing against, okay, he does catch the tail end right here of some reinforcements, so now he should know exactly what he's playing against this. Well, now he starts up one drone, now he starts up the Hydra Den, but I think he already has a pretty decent army. But yeah, Baneling speed nowhere to be seen. He didn't even start up the upgrade yet. I think that's Dark saying, yo, I'm not gonna finish it up before this fight anyways, so there's no reason for me to invest those resources into that upgrade just yet. Medevac drop here, still threatening, but 2 Overlords here, scouting out the exact positioning, and I don't think it's really gonna achieve all too much. Okay. 1 Widow Mine over there. No, ooh, 2 Widow Mines. I didn't see that one over there either. It was burrowed right beneath the Medevacs. Overseer, though, up in the skies right now, and that's gonna give Dark the vision to spot those cloaked units. Nice retargeting right there by Oliveira as he blows up a huge clump of Zerg units. Alright, Medevac so low, man. Careful, careful, careful. Yeah. No, that's a little too greedy. I think that one should have gone home a little while ago. That is now about 10 supply down the drain, but at the same time, the fight over here is going a whole lot better right here for Oliveira. Okay. Boosting out of there after killing only 4 drones. The thing is, though, with a build order like this from Terran, you don't really need to deal that much damage. Right? There are some Terran builds where you're, like, for example, if you're opening up with a bunch of Banshees, or you're going for, like, I don't know, a 1-1-1 with a Battlecruiser, right? There's a lot of variety with those builds, but usually you almost... In order to, like, stay up to speed with the Zerg, you really do have to deal some sort of damage. With a build like this, Oliveira has got a good economy himself. He's already finished up his own 4th command center, so he's really just looking to deal damage wherever he can. Well, nice detonations over there, though, in general. Widow Mines at this point are gone, and I don't think there's enough, right? I mean, this is a very scary Zerg army, but, you know, a little bit of rapid-fire transfusion right there needed to try and keep that alive. Another Medevac drop right over here on the right side of the map, and Oliveira really picking up the pace. Yeah, so he mentioned that he was practicing 12 to 15 hours a day. Now, I tend to, whenever I hear any athlete talk about any of their practice regimens, I always take that with a grain of salt, because 12 to 15 hours sounds kind of insane, right? I don't even, like, at some point you're practicing too much. Especially Terran players, the Terran players in StarCraft 1 and in StarCraft 2, they tend to destroy their wrist if they practice that much. A lot of them have had wrist issues for a long time, but I don't know. I haven't heard Oliveira complain about his wrist. So I tend to take that, ooh, Widow Mine drop over here, with a grain of salt. But it definitely shows here that the guy is feeling good, right? He is playing like a champion here. Going toe-to-toe with the likes of Dark. Who, I mean, I've casted a lot of Dark over the last few months. He seems to be in very good shape as well. One nice thing, though, that Oliveira has done so far in this game is control the creep spread. The creep spread is not nearly as good as you need it to be right now. There are many games where we'll see guys like Dark, look at that. We'll see guys like Dark already spreading the creep towards this fourth base over here of Oliveira, who just built a planetary fortress here in the middle of the map. But he's not even remotely close. Yeah, Force Council over there as well. And that is all just because Zerg is lacking vision. They don't know where to position their army if the creep spread is not that far forward. Okay, so really good start right here from Oliveira. Follow-up right now from Dark is coming, though. He's going into the infestation pit, and I wouldn't be surprised with an opener like this to see a lurker den going down as well. Then again, this is Dark, so there's a good chance he's going to be going into ultras or something along those lines, but I think lurkers are a really good option in a game like this, just because you can stop that tempo advantage that Oliveira has been creating for himself over the last couple of minutes. That said, it's pathogen glands instead, together with a hive, so Dark is planning on going for some infestors here. One fungal growth. Right in the middle of that clump. Would be quite amazing, but you're also kind of, yeah, leaving it up to your opponent, right? To micro against your units instead. So, I don't mind infestors here, but I don't know if it's necessarily the best choice. Attempted Widowmine drop over here. Very low HP medevac, so... Yeah, okay, they're gonna drop off and just walk on over into the mineral line instead. I don't hate it, but yeah, it's not great. The medevac will probably end up going down as well if he's not careful. Brenda! Yep, he's gonna get the final shot. Okay. Love this move, though, from Oliveira, going straight into the Ghost Academy. Very easy to get stuck on this unit composition over here, because it's been going very well. But then as soon as lurkers, for example, hit the battlefield, or even ultralisks, these units are usually not as powerful anymore, so having that Ghost transition ready to go, super, super nice. Liberator over here being obnoxious. This is a lot of multitasking being done here, but really the main fight is, I think, what we should be mostly concerned with. Good control right there, once again, from our Terran player. That was Dark moving in, hoping to absolutely smash that Terran army, but that did not happen at all. Okay, Vipers are coming up. We don't have any Infestors, by the way, right? So he went... This is such a Dark move. I don't quite understand. So he goes for the Infestor energy upgrade, but then he doesn't go for any Infestors. Studying Dark's replays, if you ever give it a try, you'll realize that the man just seems to do a lot of random things. I think he plays the game by feeling for the majority of the time. So he's like, okay, you know what? I wanted to go Infestors, but I think maybe Vipers are going to be a little bit more reliable. I've spent my gas on some upgrades here for my Zerglings instead. But yeah, it always feels a little bit unoptimized. That's for sure. Okay, so... Oliveira has been winning this game ever since, like, he first moved out with the Marine push. Like, the 16 Marine drop, when that one went across the map at, like, the 5-minute mark. Yeah, look at him. Just keeping everything alive. Now, I do think he's going a little too deep with his medevacs. Only 5 of them have gone down so far. Okay, Siege Tank over here also caught. Ooh, never mind. I thought it was caught with its pants down, but not quite. That medevac there coming in clutch as it picked up the Siege Tank just barely before it would go down. Okay, so very good movement right there from Dark. Dark prioritizing upgrades. Now he's going into the Lurker Den. He's, by the way, got triple Evo Chamber. That is kind of funny. So maybe that's the reason why he went for a Hive. Primarily just these upgrades. Okay, well, Oliveira is not just going to stick around, though. Even though he hasn't seen any units that really require Ghosts just yet, I mean, against a Hydra Bane army, right? You really don't want to be making that many Ghosts. A couple is not a bad idea for EMPs and all that, but you don't really want to get carried away making Ghosts. So you got to be careful here. I wonder if Dark sees Ghosts, right? There's a good chance that Dark is not going to commit into Lurkers that often anymore, or that quickly. Because, well, the unit counter is already available right here on the side of the Terran. Wait, what? Hold up. What just happened here? So he goes for a Spire. Wait, what? What just... Okay, I'm gonna go back even further. So he goes Lurker Den. Then he cancels the Lurker Den, goes for a Spire. And then he cancels the Spire again and goes for a Lurker Den once more. Okay. Yeah, Dark really struggling a little this game so far. He's trying his best to... We're back to regular game speed, by the way. I sped it up right there to ×4. Anyways, I think that Dark is struggling a little bit in this game here. He's not entirely sure as to what his best move is. In his mind, he just needed to survive the first 15 minutes or so of this game. But now he's managed to pull that off, right? But the transition is nowhere to be seen here. At least he's a little bit uncertain as to what he should be focusing on. sticking around on mostly this Hydraling Bane for now, I honestly think is fine. Those Vipers are super valuable. Hydras, of course, have gotten little upgrades as well, little buffs recently. And with the triple Evo, they're definitely going to pack a punch. Yeah, I don't think you really need to get all too fancy. So he does have Neural Parasite done, but we still have not seen a single Infestor yet. Okay. One thing I would really like to see coming out of Dark here is just more drones. With a unit composition like Hydraling Bane, it's good, but you... Ooh, he just started up 6 Overlords. He's really feeling a little shaky here. 6 Overlords is another sloppy mistake, because Dark is already at max supply. Anyways, running a unit composition off of this, or like this rather, off of like 70-something workers is not quite good enough. I think you're aiming for at least 90. Anyhow, fantastic game so far here for Oliveira, who's finished 3-3. He's going to go into the high-sec auto-tracking, the building armor as well. Those are upgrades that are nice, that help out primarily the Planetary Fortress, but also the missile turret. And obviously, since the Terran is going to be spreading himself more and more thinly here as this game progresses, having those building upgrades is very nice, but it certainly does show, okay, that he is feeling good. You know what? Maybe those Overlords I was talking about, maybe they weren't a mistake after all, because he's morphing every single one of them into a Drop-a-Lord. Not what I expected, but I think we're going to go for a Mass Lurker drop. Now, keep in mind, this is Mass Lurker drop without the ranged upgrade just yet, so that is a little bit shaky. Okay, this is completely unscouted, though. There is a sensor tower over here, but the sensor tower only reaches about that far. There is a missile turret, so yeah, he knows, okay, he knows that there's a potential that there's going to be like a, so that's the high-sec auto-tracking finishing up, giving it one more range. He knows that there's a chance that there's going to be a Nidus Worm going up in the main base, as we do have now a nuke coming up here for the Terran player as well. The entirety of the Terran army is currently committed down south, but Dark has loaded up a big chunk of his force inside of those Drop-a-Lords. He needs to be careful though, because obviously if they're up north, it means they're not down south. Turns out StarCraft units do not have the option to be in multiple places at once, but I think as soon as he realizes... I'm surprised how patient he's being here, to be honest, but I think as soon as he realizes that the majority of the Terran army is over here, he should be able to drop into the main base and get a lot of damage done. Having the Overseers in front to soak up the missile turret shots would be amazing. There's the tactical nuke though, flying across the map. Gonna try and kill the base down south. I don't even think he needs the nuke, but at the very least it's a way to, yeah, make things a little bit more terrifying there for the Zerg as the Lurker drop is now coming up. Nuke has landed indeed, so a bunch of damage is being done. But how in the world is Oliveira going to clean up a sudden 12 Lurkers inside of the main base? And now we go for the Nidus Worm as well. This is Dark pulling out all the tricks here. Well, apparently we're getting started with some really beautiful snipes. The detection is here for Dark, but apparently those Lurkers are having a hard time. My god, Oliveira not hesitating whatsoever, just going straight into the main base. And what I thought was going to be a very scary attack turned out to be an absolute disaster. At the same time, though, this expansion was taken incredibly quickly, by the way, from the Terran player. Normally we don't see the Terran player taking this until, like, you know, quite a bit later into the game. So he is ready to make this a complete split map scenario. And if Oliveira can mine out his side of the map, the entire left side of this map, I think he's going to feel pretty good about himself. Okay, yeah, a couple units do pop out, but nothing all too crazy. Overlord drops, they're good, but, looks like these Overlords are going to have to make the flight of shame. At the same time, though, Dark is not holding back. He's still got a lot of money, of course. He's been mining a ton here over the last few minutes. He's been maxed for quite a while already. Sure, he lost a lot of troops, but you can reinforce this quite easily. Are we gonna go for a fake Overlord drop? Because I do love it, but... I mean, Terran can't see if there's any units inside of these units, right? So, we kind of interesting. 17 additional Lurkers coming up. Okay. I'm honestly impressed, though, by the way that Dark has maneuvered himself back into this game. At minute 14, it really looked like he was essentially dead, right? That's when he finally managed to clean up that army, so right before that, it really seemed to me like he was, well, dead in the water. And now suddenly, just about 5 minutes later, Dark has got a gajillion resources in the bank. He's got his entire side of the map taken. He's mining every single mineral field that he can. He's got essentially all of the upgrades that he needs at this point done. The only thing I would like to see is him saturating these gases maybe a little bit more quickly. And Dark is feeling a whole lot better right now as well, as he's getting more and more aggressive. Then again, though, this is Gresvan, right? The only base that Terran still really needs to take, I guess, is this one up north. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be making a move for that one momentarily. The transition towards Terran mech is well underway, as now we're going into 4 Liberators here at once as well. So, whereas Dark is still stuck on, well, I guess the Lurkers aren't really a mid-game unit, right? Neither are the Vipers, but he's kind of on a mid-game army. Oliveira right now is transitioning away from that Marine Marauder-based force into Ghost Siege Tank Liberator instead. And he'll be more than happy to mix in a couple more Blue Flame Hellbats. He'll be more than happy to mix in some Thors as well if he needs to. This is a Terran army that is getting stronger. So if you look right now at the army value, it's relatively even at this point in time. But I think as the game goes on, it should go more and more in favor right here of the Terran player. Unless, of course, Dark decides to mix in a bunch of Infestors and all that as well. As now he decides to move forward. Very aggressive decision right there. The spines of those Lurkers dealing a lot of damage. Dark hoping that his opponent wasn't paying attention, but Oliveira was on top of that, maneuvering those ghosts backwards rather than what they naturally want to do. They would have moved into the Lurkers instead, and that is where the, well, the units really don't need to be. Okay, so if you look at the way that these games, or these fights rather, have been trading so far, right? It's been heavily in favor of the Terran player. So if you look right there in the top left-hand corner, units lost. The Terran has been having a good time so far when it comes to the army trades. That means that if we have the entire map mined out by both players, right? If both players mine out the exact same amount of mineral fields, Terran is going to be in an advantage. Or at an advantage, or with an advantage. Not in an advantage. Anyways, Terran's gonna have the... There you go. It's gonna have the advantage. So, that's what Oliveira is aiming for right now. Maybe his original plan was to win this game about 10 minutes ago. It didn't happen. So now he's happily turtling up, making a gajillion command centers. So, even though he doesn't have as much money in the bank here as Dark, that's because he invested into 9 orbital commands. A ton of static defense is being set up all over the map as well. It's critical, though, that Dark does not take one of the bases that is considered to be Oliveira's. So if Dark can both mine out, and I love this nuke, by the way, zoning the Zerg army, allowing this force over here to kill that. Don't lose your own... Okay, he canceled the nuke. Don't lose your own. Anyway, if he can take... Like, if Dark can mine both the 12 o'clock as well as the 6 o'clock position, then he's going to be in an amazing spot again. But... yeah, he's trying desperately to break that and to prevent that from happening. But so far, Oliveira is really well positioned. One issue we see all the time in the late game is Terran players spreading themselves too much around the map, right? So obviously with the creep spread, Zerg can put all of their forces in one location and then all the way down south, for example, in about 30 seconds, right? They can maneuver their entire army in less than 30 seconds. They can move from one side of the map all the way to the other side. This Terran army does not move nearly as nimbly. So you gotta be very careful with where you position and where you spread your army. If you have all of your units down south, Zerg will overrun you up north. If you have all your units up north, Zerg will overrun you down south. So Oliveira needs to spread his units properly in order to deal with all of this. Now look at the minimap here. The scans are revealing where the next attack of the Zerg is going to be. So this will now allow Oliveira to be in a better spot as well up north when it comes to defending. For now, I don't think this base over here is really going to happen. But Zerg is also not mining it. Plus, Dark is not mining the base down south. So for Oliveira, this is great. If you can take one of these bases, that would even, that would be even better for him. But as long as Zerg is mining the same amount of minerals as he is, this is going really well right now for the Terran player. And if he can take one of them and Zerg doesn't, I mean, that would be even more impressive, right? Like, that is exactly where you want to be. Tactical nuke right now. Mostly used for creep clearing. Not entirely sure if that's a necessity. Very cool SCV here, by the way. That guy, not afraid of explosions. This guy, even less terrified. Couple of creep tumors end up going down. But he's got so many orbitals right now that he can continuously scan. And as soon as he sees that Zerg army sitting back, I think that you get a little smile on your face, right? If you're Terran. This is exactly where you want the Zerg player to be. Dark's economy, though, is still incredible. He's got more than 15,000 resources in the bank right now, so he can reinforce this very easily. There's the snipes going down once more. Planetary is already finished up. Spore Crawler's coming in a little late. That was a completely butchered attack right there. Dark definitely not getting that fight in the way that he had it originally intended. Okay, another tactical nuke. Just going for whatever he can. Ooh, there's the shadow of the nuke flying across the map as well. Dark right now, though, committing his units down south. And I like this. He needs to make a decision. Sure, those nukes over there are good. Sure, the Terran might be trying to take one of the bases up north. But you need to make sure that you do not get outmined here. One of the command centers running dangerously low. Good movement right there, though, from Oliveira. Bringing it back. Fungal growths and parasitic bombs both being used. But the majority of the expensive Terran units, they do survive that attack. 22 SCVs have gone down, but this is also the point in the game where I don't think you really want to be making that many more SCVs either. Because since you have so many orbitals, you can just mine out these bases with mules instead. Yeah, there's only a few locations where you really do need the SCVs anyways. So moving them up north, moving them in a better position, I don't hate it at all. Where are all the SCVs though? There's 12 over here, 10 over here. Okay, I guess they're just spread out mostly over the bases here in the bottom left-hand corner. A whole lot of them are making structures as well, it seems. Yeah, 5 of them committed right there to making missile turrets. One art that Terran players have been perfecting over the last half year or so is putting planetary fortresses in tactical locations. Infestor going down. Abduction right there. Abduction not as strong as it once was. Zerg once again gets absolutely slapped away. Dude, Oliveira is playing a beautiful game. If you would have covered up the nicknames here and I didn't know who was playing, I probably would have guessed Maru. And that is the biggest compliment I can give a Terran player. Being confused with Maru's turtle macro style is... that's any Terran player's dream, okay? Well, obviously Oliveira ended up beating Maru. And if that's the case, maybe we should be calling it the Oliveira style instead, because this is looking insane. So that's the cool part too about, okay, I've been fanboying about Oliveira, okay, give me a couple weeks, I'll slow down, but that's the cool thing too about Oliveira winning this entire tournament. The fact that he like won it, not off of like cheesy strategies or cheesy builds. Because that has happened in the past in StarCraft 2, right? Where, you know, someone comes up and they win a premier tournament, but it's won off of the back of cheese that nobody really knows how to counter just yet. And then, you know, a couple months later, the counter is figured out, everybody knows how to play against that style, and suddenly that player sort of falls off and we don't really hear from them ever again. Oliveira is not a one-trick pony. This guy is playing cheesy games, he's playing macro games, and he's playing high-level StarCraft 2, right? He's playing legit macro games against the very best players in the world. And, well, again, even before starting up this cast, I, still was heavily favoring Dark in this particular matchup. In my mind, I'm still not giving Oliveira as much credit as he deserves, but this is honestly really, really stellar play so far. Anyways, he hasn't won this game yet, but I love what he's doing, right? Mathematically, this is the right call. He's now mining the base over here up north, and even though Dark's bank is still bigger, Dark has never really been properly able to establish the base down south. I think this is actually a base that Oliveira should try to deny, but yeah, they've been skirmishing here in the middle of the map. Okay, those abductions are really good, though. Nicely done right there from Dark. Neural Parasite as well to kill an SCV or two. There you go. Get wrecked. This can still definitely be Dark's game, though. I mean, I'm talking as if Oliveira has won this match. He definitely hasn't. Dark still has enough money in the bank to, well, reinforce this, plus make about another 200 Zerglings on top of it. So yeah, he can really easily still obtain the victory here. One good set of fungal growths, one parasitic bomb. We obviously all know that Dark is phenomenal when it comes to controlling this late game army, so definitely don't count him out just yet. But this is definitely not going his way. Okay, so this little bit of harassment is really nice. I wonder if that's where the tactical nuke is going to be used as well, as now we even have a second Ghost Academy over here, so... Ghost Academies all over the map. No, I think he's probably going to nuke over here. Liberators are a little bit cheaper with the new patch, and we've been seeing them a lot. There's some good fungal growths, though. You gotta be careful. Don't lose the ghosts. Okay, tactical nuke. Indeed, used right here in the center of the map, forcing the Zerg player to back off from this position. Looks like a couple of Hydras did clear out the Liberator there that was harassing the base down south. But when it comes to income, yeah, Oliveira has now secured a small advantage. So if the entire map mines out, considering the way that things have been going so far, Oliveira should obtain the victory. Emphasis on should. The margin for error at this point in the game is still tiny. Okay, he's trying to EMP the units that we saw hiding right over there in the fog. I love the usage of the Liberator, by the way. It's really sick. This is something that we haven't really seen all too much. But, oh, there we go. We haven't really seen it all too much. But it's really powerful. Yeah, so Oliveira using the Ghosts tactically to not necessarily kill the opponent's army, but to try and just take positional advantages. And all the while, okay, now we had a little Thor squad over here as well. All the while, he is slowly outmining the opponent. Poor guy. Okay, here we go, though. Fight up north. Very good battle right there for Dark as he takes down that army and the command center too. Well, please don't lose all of the ghosts. Okay. That was not exactly what you're hoping for here as Oliveira. Yes, he's got money in the bank, but it's really not that much. Unless you're talking about his real-life bank account, because that one just gained $150,000. No idea what income tax is like in China, but I mean, still, you know, a respectable amount for sure. Oh, a couple of lurkers here in the middle of the map, trying to get a sneaky. Trying to pull a sneaky one here, but, yeah, we've seen Dark attempt to do this a couple of times already in this particular match. Not really working out for him at all. 14 additional lurkers are coming up. Oliveira's gonna need a little bit more time to actually remax here. He's got some money in the bank, but not a ton. Once more, going after the base here. Dark sneaks in a hatchery at the 12 o'clock position, right as an orbital command was about to land. Is that the old main base? It sure is. Lurkers getting into this spot as well, though, and well, I don't think this expansion is going to be acquired here anytime soon, as the Zerg infestation over here has begun. How many lurkers have gone down in this game? 40 lurkers, my god. About half as many lurkers as there have been banelings. Okay, now the infestor count, though, is growing. Orbital Command Pilot was like, yo, I'll take this again. I saw there were some units on the ground, don't mind me. I would love to see like a round of mules here. If this position is secured, I wouldn't mind seeing it. Okay, so Dark is running out of mineral fields to mine. Yeah. So really his only mining is coming out of these 4 mineral patches over here and these 2 over there. So even though he's got 44 drones, many of those drones are not mining very efficiently at all. Oliveira only 26 SCVs, so his income is, yeah, just trickling in. Honestly, he doesn't even really need those bases anymore on the outer sides of the map. Just trying to remax on a strong army instead, but it needs to be careful. His bank is getting pretty small. So one transition we've never seen Dark make is going into flying units, other than, I guess, those Vipers. So we haven't really seen, beautiful EMP right there. We haven't really seen any Brute Lords or Corruptors or anything like that. I would love to see that, but not the case. At this point, there's no way he's going to start up their transition either, because it's just too expensive. That's usually something we see quite a bit, though. But I guess if you know your opponent has about a dozen ghosts out, making a transition towards Brute Lords is a little bit tricky. Okay, so a couple SCVs are now finding out about these mineral fields. Immediately, though, they're tasked with building up more missile turrets. 38 of those have gone down so far in this game. We still have, how many? 17, okay. Not as many as I actually thought we would still have. Ooh, fungal growth. Nice fungal growth. Dealing a little bit of damage. Infestor itself, though, also taking quite a bit of damage. Oliveira now broke. Yes, he's outmining his opponent. But he needs to be very cautious. If he pushes too aggressively right now, Dark can overwhelm him. Dark can still quite easily reinforce with about 100 Zerglings here. And if you're, well, trickling out a couple of those bio units out of those units at a time, it's not the situation you want to be in, man, because the Zerg can certainly still overwhelm you. So I think taking it easy and building up a bank of at least, I want to say 2,000, 3,000 minerals before making another move is a great idea. He's setting up a very difficult to break position here. Dark knows, though, that he needs to commit soon. Okay, good abductions. Fungal growth there missed. Ghosts staying out of reach. I would love to see a couple of those ghosts down south and then a few up north. But those abductions are starting to hurt. Really nicely done right here by Dark. Using the spore crawlers. And even though the Viper is nerfed, it's still pretty dang good. These traits have been phenomenal. Yeah, when it comes to the units lost, slowly but surely Zerg seems to be inching a little bit further ahead. There's a tactical nuke, though, flying across the map. And that is so annoying. So Dark's been clawing his way into this position for minutes. Oliveira had that nuke ready to go for a while. But he didn't use it. He didn't use it until he felt like the pressure was getting a little bit too much, and then he decided to pull the trigger. Now Dark is going to have to restart that positioning all over again. That fungal growth, though, is amazing. If he can chain fungal those units down, that would be the dream. But it looks like, yeah, they're going to be able to get away. Dark spreading a little bit of creep forward once again, but there's another tactical nuke. This time around, it's the one in the main base. I got unlucky there. I thought it was the one in the bottom, then it was the one at the top, and vice versa. Anyways, nuke once more cancelled. I feel like he probably should have let that one finish, or maybe the ghost got sniped. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, this is a pretty dang good fight, though, for Dark, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Blinding Clouds putting in a lot of value, too. Liberators being obnoxious. Siege Tank over here, 40 confirmed kills. Beautiful. Beautiful. And look at this position. This base is not going to be broken very easily. In the meantime, Oliveira also snuck an orbital command all the way down south to the base that is supposed to be the Zergs. Income, though. You see those 3 blue arrows there at the bottom of the screen? That indicates that Oliveira is heavily leading when it comes to that particular statistic. Spore crawlers forcing their way down towards the low ground. Okay, just trying to snipe those liberators out of the air. The auto attacks right there of the ghosts, it's not an amazing ability, but it's still pretty dang good. Fungal growths on this ramp, though, are also definitely a potential. Good abductions right there from Dark. I would love to see more nukes. I don't think that's a bad idea at all, because those nukes can break this position much easier than this entire Terran army can. Oliveira is playing such a ridiculously good game. Seriously. Oh, okay. Dark looks at this and he thinks the same thing. Probably with a slightly less positive note to it, though. But he looks at this position and he realizes, I can't break this. I can't kill the Terran's economy. I can't kill the Terran's army. I'm gonna get overwhelmed if this game goes on for another couple of minutes. And since he has no more money in the bank, he simply decides to tap out.